Hello folks, I'm Fonz, and this is Real Kakuro. It's been a little while since I've not only recorded one of these, but just done some in general. Anxiety has firmly set in at this point. We're running out of puzzles to do, and so I have somewhat fallen off on doing them. But I do really enjoy them, and I find myself coming back from time to time. And I was doing this one, number 484, the other day, and I found it to be just a very entertaining and somewhat elegant puzzle to go through. And so I figured I'd go ahead and record a video. So let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at it. Off the bat, its shape is like kind of like a ninja star, like a shuriken, which is always a little bit fun. But there's two thresholds right here. Which are quite nice to work with, and additionally two kind of softer thresholds on the other sides, which makes it quite fun to solve. But we're going to go ahead and start off with some of the easy numbers. We're going to start off here in the top left, where just off the bat we have a 16 across and a 16 down. We also have a 23 down that's intersecting with that 16 across. Now 16 across is 7 and 9, 23 down is 6, 8, and 9, so already off the bat we can see that gotta have a, not an 8, but a 9 right there. That's going to leave a 7 and a 9 right there. From there we can come down to this square. The 4 down intersecting with the 11 across is going to leave a 3, and then that's going to leave an 8 and a 1 right there. That leaves a leftover of 6 right here. Adding all those together is 16, which will leave a 4 coming off of that 20. From here, we can go ahead and start filling in some of the easy numbers, some of the notes going down. So 22 down is very similar to 21 down, actually. 21 down is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 22 down is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Additionally, looking at this, 8 across over 3 cannot have a 7, and it cannot have a 6 right there. It cannot have over a 5. So we kind of already have a little bit of a decent start right there. Similarly, we have this 4 down, which we can put 1 and a 3 and a 1 and a 3. Right here, this 10 across has to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we already can start off by saying that 4 is the only place, or this is the only square that a 4 can go. So kind of going through right there. Additionally, we have this 17 down right here, and this 17 down is going to be an 8 and a 9, but we do have this 11 across intersecting with it right there, so we cannot have a 9 right there. So we can safely say that this has got to be our 8, which leaves that as our 9. Additionally, that means that this can only be a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 right there. And then we can just go ahead and fill in the rest of this right here. We'll go ahead and fill in this and that. Now that we're down here in this bottom right corner, we can start taking a look at filling in some of this. So most of these, luckily, are pretty easy numbers to work with. So we have that. And this is kind of one of the places where this puzzle starts to get pretty elegant, because we can start finding the solutions to these thresholds, which is going to really just pop the puzzle wide open. What we're going to do is we're going to take all of the down clues, and we're going to add them all up, and then we're going to take the across clues, and we're going to add them up, and then we're going to subtract the difference from both of those sets of numbers. So for starters, we have a 17 across and a 17 down. We can just go ahead and cross those off and ignore them, because they're equal to one another. So we're going to take this 24 and this 4, and those are 28. We're going to subtract off the 10, is going to be 18, and we're going to subtract that from this 19, is going to leave us with 1. So a 1 has to go there. That is going to leave a 3, a 1, and a 9 right there. That makes this one an 8 and a 9 and an 8, and then that has to be our 7. Additionally, that means that a 1 cannot go here, so this has to be our 2, that has to be our 1. That additionally is going to take away this 1 and that 2 from there. And at this point, we also do not have a, well, I can just go ahead and clean this up just a little bit before I start talking about that. Okay, so we do not have any 4s in this row, which means that this has to be a 1, a 2, and a 5 to make up this row. Additionally, we can clean up the 1s because of the one that we have down there. So that means that a 3 will not go here. This has to be our 5. We cannot have a 1 right here. That has to be our 2. That makes this one a 1 and that one a 2, which leaves a 3, a 1, and a 3. Coming down, we have, I guess we can just clean this up a little bit, and we'll come back for the remainder of the numbers later. Additionally, we'll clean this one up. We'll put in a 1, 2, and a 1, 2. And then we're going to head up here to this top right area. So, up here we can fill in some of these easy numbers. So just kind of take some good notes. 16 down, by the way, over 5 has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 6. So that's going to put us here. Now what we can do is, just like we did down here, adding up all these things, we can do the same up here. So we're going to have a 4 and a 16 is going to be a 20, plus the 35 will be a 55. So we're going to remember that 55. And then we have a 15 and an 11 is 16, plus 10 is going to be 26, plus 7 is going to be a 33. So 33 minus... No, I'm sorry, a 43. I don't know what kind of math I'm doing over here. It was a 26, a 36, and then a 43. Okay. We arrived there eventually. 55 minus 43 is going to be 12. So these two squares are going to add up to 12. Which means that we can go ahead and cross off the 5 and the 6 there. We can also cross off the 1 and the 2 and the 6 there. Additionally, because we don't have a 5 here, we can cross off the 7. So we have to have either a 3 and a 9 or a 4 and an 8. Additionally, that means that these two squares have to equal 8. Which actually gives us our answer as to what those two have to be. That's a 6 and a 2, which leaves a 1, a 3, and a 7, I believe, over there, yes. And a 5 right there. So now we can go ahead and solve this area. Because it's cut off from the rest of the puzzle, it's pretty much good to go. It's as good as it's going to be, at least. So 11 across, we can look at this square right here. This cannot have a 6 in it, because if it did have a 6 in it, the lowest this one can be is a 5. That would be an 11 right there, so that would be too much. So we can cross that off. That means that a 6 has to go here. From there, we can safely say that... actually, I think I have to knock this down just a little bit before I do anything else. So we can say that this is a 15 minus 6 is going to be a 9. So with this 1 and the 3, that's going to be a 6 or an 8 over in this other square. We cannot have a 6, therefore it has to be the 8 with the 1. So I guess actually I didn't have to knock it down there. For some reason I was remembering having less numbers to choose from. But yeah, so that's going to leave this one as a 3. This one will be our 9. That means that this one has to be a 3 to be a 12. Which is going to, in turn, take out the 3 right here, which takes out the 7. We can take out the 8 and the 9 additionally. It means that this has to be a 6 and a 4, which is a 5 and a 2 right there, which will leave a 1 and a 7 right there. Now we can head down to this bottom area right here. So off the bat, something that we can note is that 15 down over 5 has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is the only number of that set that can work right here with this 14 across. So this has to be our 9 and a 5. We can fill in some notes right here. And 34 is going to be a 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we can fill in all that stuff. Okay, so from here, we already have actually the number for this, it's going to be 10, because we have a 3 and a 5 is going to be an 8. 18 minus that 8 is going to be 10. We could also have added these digits up like we did over on this other side to find that out. But, well, for starters, we can go ahead and cross off the things that cannot add up to 10. But we also have a pattern here, where we have 10 across over 2 and 10 across over 2, both involving the same column. Two columns, sorry. So we cannot have multiple solutions in these puzzles ever, which means that we can safely say that, oh, and we can also cross off this 3 and the 7 right there because of that. So we can safely say that this one right here cannot be a 2 and an 8 or a 4 and a 6, because if this was a 2, 8, or a 4, 6, there would be no way to differentiate what this one would be. So this actually has to be a 3 and a 7, which would solve the rest of this puzzle from there. However, what we could do, if we're not satisfied with taking that bit of logic, we could also come down here and take a look at this 15 across. So this left square has to be a 4 or a 6, because it's a 15. The lowest this can be is a 7, so this cannot be an 8, and of course it cannot be a 7 and a 7. So this has to be either a 4 or 6 right there. So now we can actually look at odds and evens to kind of get a step further from that. And we can say that this square has to be even, this square has to be odd, the number overall is odd, therefore this square has to be even. Additionally, we can take a look at this. 15 minus 7 is 8, 15 minus 9 is 6, so we're looking for a 6 or an 8 across either of these. The only way to get a 6 is a 4 and a 2. To get an 8, we could have a 4 and a 4, or a 6 and a 2. So therefore we can say that this has to be a 2, it cannot be a 4. Which will additionally give us this 4 and this 6 up here. And that in turn is going to give us this 4, which will give us the 9, the 7 right here. And after cleaning up just a little bit, so we take out the 6 and 4, we take out the 2 and the 4 right there. And that 2 right there. It leaves a 3 right here, which is a 7, and then a 1, and that's going to leave an 8 for right here. I love that little sound effect. And that's going to go ahead and solve the puzzle. So, not a super hard puzzle, but definitely has some tricky spots, especially if you don't go ahead and start adding up the across clues from the down clues to get the difference between them, to find out what various thresholds can be. Not going for that can definitely make it a little bit tougher, but not too bad all around. But fairly elegant puzzle with as far as the solving of it. I quite enjoyed going through that my first time, so I figured I would go ahead and share. Thank you to those who have watched, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves.